What I'm going to show you today is just a real brief demonstration. It's not really a lesson. I already have a lesson on painting roses on glass that you can refer back to, but I have been painting mason jars. First, I'm putting a frost on them, and I'm using this half circle sponge. It was a circle, I cut it in half, and this is the frost paint. I'm just putting it out on my palette here. And if you hear a whirring noise in the background, that's my little water cooler for my studio. It's a very toasty day. So what did I do with my plain jar? I think all these have been frosted, and I just brought in a plain one to frost. Where did I set it? Found it. Anyway, so I am going to dip my sponge into the frost paint. This is enamel frost paint. This one is DecoArt. Let's see, where did I set my bottle? Gloss Enamels Glitter Transparent Glass Paint. So this one is not a frost, it's actually a glitter, but you could do the same with the frost. And I showed you how to frost glass with the Plaid Folk Art frosted glass paint, which works very similarly. So I just take my sponge and I work it over the glass, and I change direction so I'm not getting these lines, and I just coat the entire, and the entire jar. I'm not too precious about it. I'm going to paint a design on it. The frost is just a background to give, actually I use it because it's a cheat for me. It gives me tooth, meaning when I go to do my stroke work on the jar, it doesn't just slide right off. I still use a very light touch, and Carol at CC Crafts, she's the one that kind of let me know how to paint on glass easier, and she says lay it on like you are frosting a cake, and that way it doesn't pull right back off, and you can get by with one layer of paint. This is a jar I just painted, and you can see how it's not completely transparent. Many times I would have done 2 coats, but I have 25 jars I need to do. I don't have time to do every single one with 2 double coats. So first I do the frost medium, which gives the glass tooth, and then I go ahead and do the stroke work, but I am very light-handed with it, which means I'm spreading the paint like you are spreading frosting on a cake. Usually in my stroke work I have a lot more pressure than I'm using, but this works good for the glass. So that being said, that's how I frost it. I'm going to put my little sponge over here out of the way, and then I'm going to get me some paint out. I have set this jar aside. I usually do several jars at once. I have most of my jars frosted. I have a few being washed that need to be frosted, but that will be another day. Okay, so I am going to keep my one jar here as a pattern to follow, just to kind of look at it. So I'm going to go ahead and put out my colors of paint. This one is Rose Shimmer Metallics Folk Art Enamel. I don't know if they still have this color. It just was a rose color, and I use it in some of it. I don't use it all the time, just here and there. Turn that off. Anyways, that one. And then I have Butler Magenta. And get me a puddle of that. My greens, right now I'm using avocado. Oh, did I use avocado? Yeah, I'll use avocado. Maybe I didn't on the others, but I will this one. Avocado, this is with the DecoArt. The others were the Plaid Folk Art. These Americana DecoArt Glossy Enamel Avocado. And this one is Foliage Green, which will be the light green. So that's for the leaves, obviously. And then I had some baby pink out before, but I didn't really care for it on here. It wasn't the right tone. And I had some enamel white. And this one's a DecoArt white, but the Folk Art makes white too. Okay, I use my regular number 10 flat wherever I have put it. Aha, over here. Now normally I don't like to wet the brushes, but I left these brushes with soap in them after I had cleaned them the last time. So I'm gonna have to wet them to rinse that out, and I'm gonna take a towel. I have a towel here on my thing. It's getting pretty grubby, but, and then I'm gonna dry it thoroughly. Thorough. Now why it makes a difference. With regular acrylics, it doesn't matter. You want some dampness in the brush. With the enamels, it kind of breaks down the enamel as far as it being dishwasher safe. So that's why get your brush as dry as possible. So I'm going to start on my jar here. And oops, I forgot one more color. Berry wine in the Folk Art enamels. That's going to be the darker color. So I'm going to start with a double load of the berry wine and the Butler magenta, and we're going to paint our first rose. Now I was starting with the leaves, but I just couldn't get my placement right with my roses, so I went to just doing the roses and then placing the leaves. Just make sure I got plenty of paint on my brush. And then I'm going to do my typical rose. So I'm going to start with the upside down U. And then I pull it out. Now I can make this more level instead of there being a bump right there in the middle. Every single rose I paint is different. And then I'm going to layer here. See this? I'm going to pull the center over that. Now I'm doing this at an odd angle so that I can get it in the camera. And then I'll do the center here. These are very simplistic roses. So now I did that. I'm going to bring some side arms along here. See that? And then I would do a bottom, but I'm going to have a rose overlapping it, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. So I'm going to bring this, I'm going to catch the tail of this arm, upper arm, and I'm going to bring it across and end right there. Do you see how I did that? Let's see. I will probably zoom in for the next one, and then you can see better. So I'm going to grab the tail of this one and I'm going to overlap this one. There's a little gap there, so I'm just going to tap in some color. And then I'm going to bring this up here. Normally I would finish with the bottom, but I'm not going to do that. I am going to do another rose right there. But I'm going to make this one facing this way, and it's going to overlap that one. So I'm not going to wash my brush. I'm going to wipe it out on the towel. And then I'm just going to load with the Butler magenta and the white. Butler magenta and white. This will make the lighter pink rose. Whoops. I dipped into the white with the Butler magenta side. Pay attention to what you're doing. I do that often. You just wipe out your brush and reload. That's all you need to do. So, okay, I'm going to start up here. And I'm going to be careful not to get my hand on that one. But I'm going to do that part, the center of the upper bowl. And then, you know, I probably started this way too close. This should have been further down. You know what? To show you what you can do. This is going to be too far covering this one. I'm going to start it further down. What I do is I grab a paper towel and I'm going to move this right here. And I will just wipe that off. Just wipe it. Be careful not to mess up your other rows. I didn't get it on myself, did I? Okay. Now there's a little bit smeared in there. Don't worry about that. You can cover that with leaves or auxiliary flowers. So I'm going to start again. And I probably should have started this one higher up, but that being said, I'm just going to start down here, a little bit further down. Reload. Whoops, see I started on the outside. I'm just going to turn my brush over. There's no rhyme or reason, just, do I say that a lot? Just keep on going. And I may do things out of sequence. I may do the center all the way and then do something different. See, I do an upside down U. Again, I told you this is not a step-by-step lesson. This is just a demonstration, so you may not be able to see some things. I may get out of camera, what have you, but I just wanted to demo these jars as I did them, just for fun. Okay, so I'm going to do another center, a third center level. Where's the other one? I only did 2 of the center bowl, and then I'm just going to bring this one partial way, grab this one, and overlap that one. So it's different than the previous one. And then I'm going to come down here. I grab the tips of those arms, and I overlap that. Now we can start building the base. And this is where I'm going to go overlap this rose, these lower petals. And I can even do something right there. Sometimes your roses will be wonky, but that's typical of roses in nature. That one's got a little too much on there. So I'm going to go inside of that arm, and I'm going to make another arm, another petal, layer of petals. I didn't do that on the other one. So this just shows how different they could be. And then I'm just dipping in some white. I'm going to just do some chisel strokes. Then I'm going to look at it. This one's way too wonky. And there you have, this one is overlapping that one. Now you can see that right there would be probably a petal of this one where I could have done another layer, but I'll put leaves there, or I will put little white flowers. So let's go on with our leaves. I am merely wiping the brush out. There's still a little bit of the pinks in there. And I'm going to go into the greens. And I just load my brush. Load, load, load. Trust me, this is easier if you're looking at it this way rather than pointing it away from you. But it's all good. Alrighty, so right here I'm going to put a leaf. Just come up against the rose, and I'm just laying the paint on there. Wiggle, a slight wiggle, twist to a tip. And same with this one. Now I have the darker side up against the light green, and that creates this seam in the leaf. So I'm just laying the paint on there as thickly as I dare. And you look around where you maybe want to add another leaf. You know, each one of mine, as I said before, is different. I do not do 2 exactly the same. I'll use a prior one as inspiration, but each one will speak to you differently. Where you want to place some leaves, some auxiliary flowers, some buds. So I'm going to put a leaf up here. I think I started a little too low, so I need to add something up here. And I will also maybe add some buds up there. So there's 2 leaves. And then I'll just add a vine, very carefully with the chisel edge, and then some little slider leaves. And I can add some more down here. And you can do 3 or you can do 5 on there. I don't bother trying to bring it in. I just indicate where the stem is and how it's coming towards those leaves. So I'll do one over here in this crevice. And again, I'll do some more vines, another vine, maybe have it come up this way, slider leaves, and let's do some buds. I'll do a couple buds. Wiped my brush out, did not rinse it. You'd be surprised at how just wiping it out is more than enough. So let's do a couple buds. I think it needs one up here, or a couple up here. So I'm just doing an upside down U stroke and getting some more of that paint on there, and another U stroke on top. Or you can do like a slider leaf, press, slide, and then I'll show you how we bring some vine up into that. I think it needs one down here too. So I'm just going to load my brush and do upside down U stroke and then a U stroke. Wipe the brush out again. Go back into my greens. This is a number 10 flat, by the way, in case I didn't say that. I don't remember. You could also do this with a 12. I just like the more control on this smaller surface with the number 10. So I'm just going to bring on the chisel edge alongside and come to a tip. Now you can see I'm dragging some of the pink. That's just fine. Come along the edge and up. And then I'm going to do a small lighter leaf right here in the center. I'm going to put a dot at the base and then indicate a stem, and then now you can switch. I did some smaller leaves on the other ones or with flowers with this little filbert. This is a number 4 Royal Majestic filbert brush. So the same with the other bud. You're just going to bring it up, reload, a little touch in the center, bring that down, put a dot right at the base, and then a little, I don't know what those are called, right at the base. So this one down here, let's get this one. Dot. Okay. And there we have our rose painted jar. Don't know how long that took us, but now I've got about 10 more to go. I hope you enjoyed that and you'll give glass painting a try. After you've done a few, it starts to become second nature. You will still make mistakes. You still will have to wipe things off. That's all part of the process, and that's merely human. So I'll see you in the next video.